so they don't produce any more goods, so you damage them. Bomb the hell out. And what Roosevelt did to accomplish the goal of stopping Hitler from increasing the territory that his army already controlled is he ordered around-the-clock bombing of all German cities. Just bombed them and bombed them and bombed them. Why? Why would you do that? Right, destroy their factories, destroy their ability to reproduce materials. What else might happen if you're just getting... If I got a squirt gun, and I just sit here and squirt Talon in the face with it, and squirt it in the face with it, really can't do much about it. I'm just going to sit here, squirting him in the face, and I'm giving her ice cream bars, and I'm squirting him in the face. So what's going to happen to his... We're going to damage his morale or self-esteem. And that was the idea... that was the idea behind ordering the around-the-clock bombing also, is that hope the continual assault of German cities would lower morale among the people. I mean, if you get bombed day and night around the clock, it's going to cause an issue. Now, to be honest with you, historians will tell you that the bombing really didn't affect Germany's war effort, but it certainly did hammer away at German morale. Now, this is quite a statistic. By the end of World War II, 2.7 million tons of bombs had been dropped on the country of Germany. Not 2.7 million bombs, 2.7 million tons of bombs had been dropped on the country of Germany. That is incredible. Well, I bet not a ton. So you think about it, I don't even know. There's different types of bombing. But I mean, a lot of, just the footage, if you ever see footage, it's just incredible. Now, meanwhile, somebody is getting just crushed. He's losing thousands of soldiers on the Eastern Front daily. And he really needs the United States to take some pressure off his troops. Who is that? Stalin. So, during this time that we are bombing Germany into submission, or hoping to, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin is losing thousands of soldiers daily on the Eastern Front. And the Russians are desperately needing the United States and England, frankly, to try to take some pressure off his troops over there. So who did Roosevelt get together with to make a plan to relieve Russia? Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill. So British Prime Minister Winston Churchill and President Roosevelt get together and they make a plan to try to relieve Russia because they're getting stomped on in the Eastern Front. Who's got their map of Europe out? Anybody close? If you take a look, where is Germany well established between England and Russia? Where does Germany actually have a government there? At Vichy, upper northern France. So Germany is very well established on the French coast, which is mainly the northern part of France. So what do you think Churchill suggests where the Allies should attack? Which part of the France? The southern. And Prime Minister Churchill referred to the southern area of France as what? The soft underbelly of Europe. So what Churchill's saying to Roosevelt is let's go south in France and let's try to relieve, if you look on this map, let's try to relieve Russia this way. So where are you going to have to fight to do that? Northern Africa. Because who is Italy involved with? The Axis powers. So Prime Minister Churchill referred to the southern area underneath France as the soft underbelly of Europe. In order to be able to gain that ground, the Allies are going to have to gain control of North Africa. Who controls North Africa at this time? Germany and Italy. Okay? So, we're moving to North Africa. Well, in June of 1942, British forces under General Bernard Montgomery pushed the Axis powers into Egypt. In June of 1942, British forces under General Bernard Montgomery pushed Axis powers into Egypt. And that battle was known as the Battle of El Alamein. Battle of El Alamein. And during the Battle of El Alamein, again, British forces under General Bernard Montgomery pushed the Axis powers into Egypt. Now, what American general landed an American army in North Africa in November of 1942? Dwight D. Eisenhower. So in November of 1942, American General Dwight D. Eisenhower landed an American army in North Africa. And they won two important battles, gaining control of both Morocco and Algeria. So in November of 1942, American General Dwight D. Eisenhower landed an American army in North Africa, and after a series of battles, the Allies under his control gained control of both Morocco and Algeria. Well, Eisenhower's got to go up against a very good German field marshal in February of 1943. And that field marshal was called Erwin Rommel. Very, very talented commander. And in February of 1943, American tanks and troops under the direction of Eisenhower fight against the Germans and German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel. And they're fighting in Tunisia. So in February of 1943, under the direction of American General Dwight Eisenhower, American tanks and troops fight the Germans under the direction of German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel at Tunisia. And again, if you had your map in front of you, you know exactly where I was talking, but that'll be up to you. Now, these two great military commanders, ended up actually fighting to a stalemate or to a standstill in Tunisia. In other words, no clear winner. The break that the Allies got is after this stalemate in Tunisia, German commander Rommel was recalled back to Germany. They asked him to come back to Germany. And when he departed, what happened to the German army there? Collapsed, fell apart and collapsed. Yeah? So after the stalemate in Tunisia, Germany recalled their commander Rommel back to Germany, and when he departed, the German army simply collapsed. So, what's that? Yeah, and we end up controlling North Africa. Now, we get some good news, the Allies do. As we are winning victory in North Africa, the Soviets won a very important battle over Germany at Stalingrad. At Stalingrad. So in Stalingrad, again around the same time that the Allies are enjoying victory in North Africa, the Russian army defeats nearly 300,000 Nazi soldiers and halts that German advance in the eastern front of the war. That was very crucial. It was the turning point of the war in Europe. Anybody know anything about the conditions at Stalingrad? Horrible, horrible cold. I'll repeat it. So, again, in Stalingrad, Russia defeats nearly 300,000 Nazi soldiers, halting the German advance in the eastern front. And the conditions were miserable. It was freezing cold. And it was a horrible, horrible, bloody battle. What's that? Yeah, it was just brutal. It was a brutal, brutal battle. And luckily for the Allies, the Russians step up and get a victory.
Russia lost millions, though.
Oh, yeah, and we'll talk, yeah, the Russians lost many, many men. All right, where's the only area we haven't talked about? Italy. So we'll talk about fighting in Italy. Did you report? It was crazy, wasn't it? You think you can find it?
Oh, I got mine still. I still got it. I don't think we did a presentation.
Well, if you bring it if you have it. Okay, well finally in July of 1943, American and British armies invade the Italian island of Sicily. Who were the Allies led by? A very interesting fellow, American general by the name of George Patton. George Patton. He was a butt kicker, I'm going to tell you right now. He had no regard for loss of life, by the way. He was kind of like Ulysses S. Grant was in the Civil War, not to that extent. But he was a butt kicker, and he was very jealous of Bernard Montgomery, the British commander, and he wanted to be ahead of him. He wanted to be more successful. So under the leadership of American General George Patton, the Allies defeated the Italians, basically knocking them out of World War II with this victory in Sicily. Because they went from Sicily to the home front. During this time, remember the Italian dictator Benito Mussolini? He was overthrown after this Allied victory in Sicily. And he was replaced by Pietro Badoglio, who then immediately, unconditionally did what? Surrendered to the Allies. So after the victory in Sicily, Italian dictator Benito Mussolini was overthrown, and he was replaced by Pietro Badoglio, who immediately, unconditionally surrendered to the Allies. Now, this didn't mean the war in the country ended, because what other soldiers are occupying Italy? Germany. So the country was still infested with German soldiers, so the Allies continued to press northward in Italy to run these Germans out of the country. And during that siege of northern Italy, on October 1st of 1943, the Allies captured Naples under the command of American General Mark Clark. So the country was still infested with German soldiers, so the Allies continued to press northward into Italy. And on October 1st, 1943, the Allies captured Naples under the command of American General Mark Clark. So, what's the city we still got to get in Italy to clean it up? Rome. And finally, in June of 1944, the Italian city of Rome was captured by the Allies. And you don't have to write this down, I just want to tell you these next few things. Fighting in Italy continued to be difficult. Every inch of soil gained was won at a great cost. Fighting in Italy continued until the last few months of the war in Europe, showing that Prime Minister Churchill's soft underbelly was as hard as granite. And because of the slow progress in Italy, the Allies prepared for a second front assault into northern Europe. Where? No. What? France. Where in France? Normandy. This assault that we will talk about tomorrow will go down in American history as what? D-Day in Europe. Okay, listen to me. We are going to have a 30-point quiz tomorrow on this lecture. And then we are done and moving on to part 3. So this lecture, 30-point quiz tomorrow. We'll report out to the Commons area. Won't take very long, and we'll come back and we're going to talk about D-Day. So study those up pretty good. No names, these types of things, you'll be fine.
Small and grand.